in an air show, we're already out here anyway. We have our command post set up. EMS has folks out here. We have not a whole lot of folks, but we're on scene already. They're looking for, they're triaging the worst patients to treat them first. The walking wounded, get them off to the side, and just prioritize the ones that need to go out first and get them on the ambulances, get them out to the hospitals as fast as we can.
The one with the Navy is actually a first. It's a unique opportunity to work with the Department of Defense and the Department of Defense Fire Department, and normally we don't get a chance to operate with these gentlemen. So today was a unique opportunity for us to see their capabilities, they can see our capabilities, and now would be a great time to practice this when we don't have a bunch of visitors, dignitaries here that we actually have to be called upon to act.
If you've got all the equipment and you never use it, and when you need it, you don't know how to use it, you're wasting time, wasting precious minutes that you could help somebody. So get the equipment out, use it, know how to work with it, and next time you need it, hopefully we'll never need it, but we'll know how to do it.
Now is the time to do it because we actually do tabletop exercise, a mass casualty drill every single year with our own assets. But you can tabletop and not gain the same lessons learned that we picked up today from running the exercise.
We simulated that during the plane crash, the jet fuel, of course, sprayed everybody in the crowd, so everybody had jet fuel on them, so they needed to be deconned. So we ran all the patients through the decon to give them it's called a gross decon, because they have to be done that before they get in the ambulance. Now when they get to the hospital, they will be deconned again because they need to get everything off of them before they go in the hospital and contaminate the hospital itself. So they get deconned twice, gross, and at the hospital more finite. You got rollers in there, they can put them on a stretcher and roll them through on the stretcher. You don't have to take them off and wash them down and get as much of the contaminated jet fuel off of them before they get in the ambulance, because we don't want the ambulances contaminated, because they might have to run another call, and we don't want other folks contaminated.
By having the actors out here, you had 50 casualties, you had some fatalities. What we realized, to be honest with you, is that it takes more assets than we would have thought. We were able to get the first response, we were able to run them through a decon, get them decontaminated, but then after that, the triage care, we had limited resources, so that's something that we're going to have to work with after this.
To know who we're working with, we know that this gentleman over here is good for triage, and if we know those people and we know what training they've got, it's a whole lot easier to work together. If we're perfect strangers and we don't know who we're working with or what their capability of, it makes the scene a whole lot more difficult to get the people the help that they need. Yeah, because we know how long it takes to get out here, how long it takes to set the equipment up, how long it takes to get the people treated and get them on the ambulance and get them to the hospital. So it gives us an idea of the timeline and how long it'll take to do something.
Even though times change and people's change, emergencies don't change. They're going to happen, and they're never scheduled. Training, you'll actually be able to respond better in the future, and lessons learned. Now is the time to mess up. Now is the time to sit back and go, okay, yeah, we messed that up. Let's learn from our mistakes. Because when the time actually happens, that this does happen, that's the time we need to perform our best, learn from the lessons in the past, and move forward.
We'll have a hot wash as soon as everybody gets through, and we'll go around and ask what everybody saw, the good, the bad, because we want to improve. A lot of good happened here today. Just everybody being able to see what everybody could do and putting a face with a name and be able to communicate with them. Communications was great today. Their communications is out of Jacksonville, Florida, the regional dispatch center. So we were able to communicate with them, get the equipment out here. So during the hot wash, all that'll come up. We'll ask for 3 ups and 3 downs. And tomorrow, Friday, we'll have an after action review. And we'll come together with the senior folks, and we'll come together and make an improvement plan. And we'll assign somebody, well, the communications wasn't quite good enough, we'll assign that to somebody. How can we communication get better, and set a date for it and do an improvement plan.
You're getting thrown into mass chaos. Even though we do this on a day in and day out, we do it on an individual basis. One emergency for one responder. When you have a ton of emergencies, a bunch of patients, and very few responders, that things kind of get mixed up a little bit when you start going, okay, duck, duck, go. Who is critical? who can wait and who can wait longer. The idea is to identify and treat those people who need rapid surgery, or they need a doctor and a hospital now. Those are the ones that we triage, move forward, then actually get to a hospital, whether it be one of the local area hospitals or even sometimes, depending upon the disaster, with aeromedical transport, Mobile Infirmary, if you think about it by air, is only 20 minutes away. So we have resources, but the whole idea when it comes to a mass casualty is to identify the threats, identify our patients, mitigate the threats. For example, this was a hazardous materials incident. We used hazardous materials response team to mitigate that threat, and then we responded to the emergencies, the patients, identify, treat, transport.
The communications today have actually gone better than I had expected. We work a regional dispatch program out of Jacksonville, and while there were some hiccups, it went very well, and I think the interoperability, we did validate that we can operate efficiently today.
Previous experiences, drills tend to be chaotic, and that is a good time to have the chaos, is to get the chaos out of the way before the real event. Obviously, real events can never be planned, so if you plan it, then hopefully when the real event comes, you've learned enough and it becomes second nature. The old adage in the military is bloody training, bloodless battles. Okay, so you constantly reinforce your basics, as well as you constantly reinforce the teamwork and the cohesion. EMS personnel work with each other every day. Same thing with deputies and same thing with firemen, but we don't all work with each other every day. Communications is a mess, as you know, as you can recall from 9/11, that was one of the biggest snafus. Communications seemed in the past have always been a mess. Today, at least from the ground side, not so much the command and control side, communications seem to go much better. There seems to be some lessons learned today, but I think we've progressed, and each time we run one of these drills, we become more and more successful in terms of responding to our drill emergencies. So should there ever be an emergency in Escambia County, Department of Public Safety is ready to rock.
Whenever you have a mass casualty like this, a lot of coordination has to go into that. When you have 50 to 100,000 folks, working crowd control becomes a primary responsibility. And the most important thing is that they heed all the public information that's getting put out via multiple channels and help us facilitate the first responders.
Well, everybody's done an outstanding job. It's good that it's not hot, it's not in August, but these guys, all these students out here today, they were volunteered to do this, but they seem to enjoy it, and we appreciate their willingness to come out and participate and get moulaged up and get the blood put on them and get wet. And all these firefighters, Navy firefighters and our firefighters are working great together. It just makes you feel good that when we have an incident like this, we can work together as a team.
The best thing that I've learned, and actually the coolest thing is their willingness to learn, the willingness to train. The willingness to train and the enthusiasm for it demonstrates that, hey, they want to be there. They want to show the effort to work with us. There wasn't nobody standoffish. We worked together. And I like the unit cohesion and the teamwork showed. Ranks, job titles, everything went off the shelf when we all responded. We have a common goal and a common mission. That's what I liked about today.
We never want to have to do this, but you never know. You've got 100,000 people out here for an air show, and just the wrong move of a pilot, and it could happen. So we want to be ready.